Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Eric and I are going to talk a little bit about Batman, The Enemy Within. This is the second in the Telltale series, Batman series, and Telltale series. I'm really hoping that they keep going with this.
Me too.
They've not even announced another one yet, and so I feel, even though this has been out a while, and all 5 chapters have been out a while, I kind of feel like we're ahead suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost don't like that because I want to go right into the next one. It's crazy that this is that we're already done with this and that there's not another one to play, but then I guess that's a really good testament to it.
Yeah.
Just right out the gate, I loved this. I think it's better than the first one.
I agree.
Quite a bit.
Yep. It does not have a drop-off in the end.
No, they really... I mean, I have questions about the ending. I think it has a little bit of the same problem the first game does, where it gets a little bit more unbelievable in the 5th story, or the 5th chapter, than it had before.
Mm-hmm.
But that's mostly just with Joker and my not totally understanding between 4 and 5 how in the world he had the resources to do what he did. That's the major thing there. All of the promise that it made with the first game about John and the Joker, it delivers on in spades.
It's the most interesting take on the Joker I've seen in a long time. The most original take.
The new, fresh take.
Yeah.
There's apparently 2 different ways that you can go. And we should mention, there's a bunch of stuff we did that very few people apparently did.
Yes.
We saw quite a bit of like 3-5%.
Yeah. We saw a 0% once.
Yeah.
We left Alfred contented at one point, and apparently 0%.
I think that was what, 2nd chapter?
It's 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta think. It wasn't 0 point something percent.
It was 0.0%.
According to that, the only people in the world that got that result from Alfred.
Yep.
But apparently there are. I'm mighty proud of that. Apparently,
yeah, me too.
There are a couple of different ways the Joker can go at the end. He can either go like normal kind of mainstream Joker, or he can go vigilante Joker. Like he makes up his own Batsuit, and we got that one.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we got that one because it's one of my favorite things in the game.
Yeah.
That suit is so cool looking, and just everything about like him wanting to be Batman. It ends up being sort of tragic in a weird way. Like it kind of works, but it's also just so much fun. This is also the most fun the Joker's been in a long time.
Yes. Yeah. And like really funny. Like there's a couple of points where like he would just do something, we just start laughing. No, he's great, and the voice performance is great. I was worried that when he went, and I guess maybe it's easier because he didn't go full Joker. I'm kind of interested to see what that version of the game looks like. But because he didn't go full Joker, like maybe that helped. But I was a little worried early on where I was like, okay, so when he goes full Joker, like what's that voice like? Because his normal voice is very conversational, very casual, and he didn't miss a beat. Like it doesn't feel like he's not the Joker. It also doesn't feel like he's too far from what he started as.
It watches like, and this very much feels like a TV show that you're playing, right? It watches as if they hired him based on a Joker voice, and he reeled it back, and he had this other thing, and then he got to that. It didn't sound like their Joker voice was an afterthought.
Yeah,
and he's not doing anybody. It's not a Mark Hamill. I mean, it's very much his own thing.
Yeah. We should say so with the first game, we set out with like certain parameters. We're like, this is what we're doing with this. We decided to be the Joker's friend. We continued to be in love with Catwoman, and we were 100% Gordon and 100% Anthony
0% Waller.
Yes.
We picked everything we possibly could that was like angry, I hate Waller.
Yeah.
And we picked like the most pro-Gordon things we could.
Yep.
I think in a couple places we accidentally botched those, but we tried to do that every time.
Yep.
And we botched being friends with Joker some too. I mean, like that was difficult. There were places where it was like, which thing should I hit?
Yeah. There's one big one near the end. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there's one big one that we.
I made some mistake with Joker.
And with Alfred.
What was the thing? With Alfred?
The thing with Alfred was when I thought you took the defending John thing too far. Alfred has a reaction to something about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
One of the big complaints I have about this game is there's one in particular, but there are a couple of places where, and we had this with the first game some too, but it ended up affecting the gameplay more here, where I think it means one thing and it turns out to mean something else.
There was a big one.
And sometimes it's in dialogue where it's like, well, that's not what I thought I was going to do, but it could, like, words mean things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we talked about this with the first game, but it's worse here. It's weird because actually, more often in this, the dialogue that you think it's going to give you, like the words it gives you, are closer to what it is, except in some places where it's way more off than it was in the first game.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. It's like, I get that you can't give me all of the line of dialogue, but
sometimes it felt like the sense was wrong.
like I have to interpret what I think my character's going to do based on the words you give me, and then, like you said, the sentiment is off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate. But talk about the Bane versus Harley Quinn thing.
So
because that was a disaster.
There's a point where so for a good chunk of this game, you are as Bruce Wayne infiltrating this criminal gang, and Harley's there,
which is a really interesting thing to do.
And also,
like Bruce Wayne undercover,
a refreshing take on Harley. Maybe my favorite Harley.
Yeah, Harley as a mob boss ended up working really well. And like, I'm always complaining about Harley as a super genius. She's not a super genius.
She's a
psychiatrist, and she can manipulate people. And with her background, it makes sense that she's leading a mob, that she's leading a gang. It works.
So there's this point where there's this big raid, and we're always picking pro Harley. When the decisions come up between like the different mob bosses, because we like John and John likes Harley, and there's a point where, and
also she terrified me.
Yeah, she's real scary. There's a point where Harley's running one way and Bane's running another way, and it says you have to pick head off Bane, head off Harley. And we picked Bane because we thought that meant that we were going to hold him back. Yeah.
So that Harley could do what she was wanting to do. But head off didn't mean what head off means.
Yeah. It means we were going with Bane and leaving Harley behind.
Yeah. Because we didn't stop anything. Like, if you... Like that's an old phrase, like, head him off at the pass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what I would think.
That was a really bad word choice.
Yep.
I thought that was a disaster.
Yep.
And we can't be the only people who did that.
I can't imagine.
I thought that was really strange.
Yep.
That was my biggest beef with the game. That made me kind of mad in the moment. But
my biggest beef, writing wise, like story character wise, is why is Mr. Freeze in this game? We don't do anything with him. We have a new fresh. Okay.
Sorry. We could have done more with him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
He's there because he's the obvious classic Batman villain that has some kind of a disease to overcome with his wife. Like they needed to come up with... They wanted them to be mainstream villains, right? So they were trying to come up with mainstream villains where the thing they all had in common was an illness they were trying to fight. And that was the thing that Waller could hold over their heads.
Mm-hmm. And
that was what brought the gang together in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's why Mr. Freeze is there.
Okay, that makes sense. He felt so nothing in this.
And it gives you people with different motivations.
Yeah. He just felt like the one that they have an interesting take on Bane and Harley.
The problem with him is everybody else is
Joker.
reinvented, right?
Yeah.
But Mr. Freeze is not.
He's just Gotham Mr. Freeze, which is the inversion of animated series. He's just angry all the time. He's just all emotions.
Yeah.
That's okay.
This is not that interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's which is a testament to the quality of the game. I really liked every take they had on a character.
I like that
one felt like they just didn't have
just a thug. He's not my Bane, and he's not, and he doesn't win me over like Harley Quinn does, where it's like, oh, but he's so interesting, I'm not even thinking about Bane. He's fun. He's less interesting than real Bane, but I liked him fine.
Yeah, no, he's fun.
How did you feel about like the gameplay itself? It's not that different from the first game. They didn't do a lot. Right?
No, there was a major thing that they changed. I love the multiple options for attacking. That was a major improvement. We're like, even minor things. We're like, you can throw a batarang, you can kick him, you can headbutt him. I got to headbutt Harley Quinn.
That was nice.
But I feel like there was another major change where we were like, oh, this is a huge improvement. They should have this in the first game. I can't remember what it was.
Well, maybe this is what you're thinking. I'm not sure. It wasn't a mechanical thing, like a thing you do, but they added to. Harley will remember that. They added your relationship. Has changed,
which was real wonky because sometimes it would say that, but it didn't feel like a relationship had changed at all.
But like they'll remember that has always had that problem some too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, but that's vaguer. But like, there's a point where we think we mess up with Gordon. It's like your relationship has changed, but then he acts exactly the same.
One of the single funniest things in the whole game is Joker forgot to remember that.
Yeah. Yep.
I will not forget that. That's very funny.
Yep.
That got me so hard. like I said, all the stuff with the Joker Batsuit, the Joker Batarang is one of the most visually inspired things in that game.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
No, I'm really excited to see where this
I don't
goes.
mean to just go to superficial things. There's some really interesting storytelling in this. The first game, I didn't feel like this as much, but I think we're going so complex, it's harder, right? I think maybe it would be fair to say that this game, more often, it's harder to say that no matter what you choose in a conversation, Bruce Wayne is still the same guy and he's making choices that you're buying, you know what I mean? Even more than the first game, I felt like I was trying to write a narrative that made sense, and I could easily veer off into nonsense town. I don't know about you, but
in this one or the first one?
More so with this one.
I agree. Or we hit something and we're like, that didn't work, and okay.
Yeah. Because I'm not completely sure with because
I feel like you can get Bruce Waynes at completely different points.
Yeah.
Like if you play different ways, you will get different Bruce Waynes, which I guess is a compliment versus the first game, right?
Yeah. No, that's good, but it just seems like you're too easy to veer off. Where you're like, well, this conversation didn't start here, but then we did a weird thing, and
yeah. Sometimes it feels like there's like 3 or 4 tracks of Bruce Wayne. And, like, you're on this one, but every once in a while, like, you'll accidentally jump over to the wrong track.
Right. As opposed to just naturally
yeah.
And also, I was spoiled a little bit by Detroit Become Human.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another game that's all about choices changing your consequences, but there are a lot more directions it can go, and you're much more in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when your character dies, they're dead. And so I was spoiled by that.
Yeah. There was something else. I don't remember. Sorry.
Well, we should talk about the ending because you pointed this out and I felt the same way. I don't know how different players don't start from different places at the beginning of the next game.
Yeah. So the big things is Lucius's daughter. We chose both not to let her out in the field, and she's a criminal at the end of ours.
We didn't really like her. And
yeah, and she just disappeared for most of the game, and she came back, and she was like, I'm going to be a sidekick with this nothing costume that I took 20 minutes to put on while you were having a conversation with Alfred. And her
superhero name should be Drone, and I'm going to call her Drone forever.
Yeah. So we didn't have her out in the field with us, and then when she shows up, we're trying to do like a Batman learns from his mistakes things. Where like he trusted John because even though he went too extreme, and we were not doing that with her, where we found out she killed somebody, and so we're like, okay, well, then you have to turn yourself in, and she flies away as a supervillain. And that was like that one was 50 was like 50-50, right?
Yeah, I think.
Or maybe it was lower than that.
I don't immediately recall.
And then Alfred was like an even 50-50 split. We let him go to be Batman, which we weren't really sure which direction we were going to go.
We didn't get a lot of time to choose, and it was hard to say, and I couldn't decide which way our Batman would go, and that's like I'm a little bit iffy on the story we ended up seeing based on choices we made, where I don't know if we got a good story as far as if somebody sat down and wrote this story. I don't know if it's a good story at the end of the day.
One of the biggest problems for playing this game, at least for me, is I can't not have meta knowledge. So,
right,
like we were having fun.
And by the way, How Dark Knight Rises is that ending?
Yeah.
With Alfred specifically,
we were having fun being friends with the Joker, but always knowing he's the Joker, we're not really friends with him. Now at the end, we do tell him that we were friends because that's how we played it the whole time.
I mean, Two-Face we had the same thing with.
Yes, but it's different here where I feel like there are things that we let go because we thought it was interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because we have this meta knowledge. We know what he's going to become.
Yeah, and so that makes you feel like you're not really in character.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, were we ever really friends with him? I don't know. I don't know how much our Batman really cared about him.
I didn't feel like we did, but we told him that we were friends.
He's manipulating him a lot, and we kind of come right out and say that, but then when you get toward the end, he seems to feel bad for it just based on some things that we're doing, and I couldn't keep track of what our motivations fully were ultimately. And some of that might be on us. I mean, you're playing a choice-based game, you guys are idiots if you don't know what's going on. But the problem is, with these games, I continue to not ever fully know how many paths are possible and how much control I really have.
This felt like this has to have a lot more branching paths.
Yeah.
Than the first.
I don't know if that's true, but it felt that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you get to the end and, like, you could be, at the start of the next game, being Batman or not being Batman.
Yeah, and having Alfred or not having Alfred. And having this girl who's helping you in the Batcave, or not. Or she's a supervillain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting, just to see where it goes. I mean, I suppose they could create a new status quo where no matter what you did, they get you to a place with the next one.
And they are impressive with that sometimes. They could do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to keep track of your information from the last game playthrough, and we were disappointed that Two-Face was Two-Face because our Two-Face, or our Harvey didn't become Two-Face. But then we're not sure if they still called him that.
But they called him Two-Face.
Did they?
Yeah,
so that's still okay.
Yeah. Well, it's just that they called him Two-Face. They didn't. Where would they get that name from?
Yeah.
And put a dent in crime was still on the posters.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. No, there was definitely and like Catwoman remembers this from last game, and like I definitely think there's decisions that carried over. Not as much as maybe could have.
I thought their take on Riddler was fascinating.
Yeah, he's great.
I really liked that whole thing. I liked him as like the older costume villain in Gotham, and he created like a whole legacy. Which is weird. What's weird is it kind of goes in the middle of like the Gotham TV show thing and regular Batman things, where it's a Gotham that's both created by Batman and is already there, right?
Yeah.
They do both of those things.
Yeah. It's weird that someone brought that question up, and there wasn't an option where it's like, well, I didn't make a Riddler.
Yeah.
Or Harley, or Bane, or Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, they're all there already.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know about some of those. I mean, we don't know if... It doesn't seem like Batman's had encounters with any of them before. Certainly not Harley Quinn.
There's also things near the end of this game where I'm like, so like we just started being Batman, we fought our first like batch of villains, but we're acting like I've been Batman for 10 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm reeling so much from it because it's unpredictable, and I didn't expect a lot of the choices they would make for villains and stuff. That like I just want to play it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And more so than the first one. I mean, like we started another playthrough, and I want to see other places that branches off, but this one even more so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because we played through the whole first episode of it, where we were like, we're gonna do all the dumb things. We're gonna be the fun Batman. And we're like, it's not that different.
Yeah.
I feel like this one has to be.
If it's not, then it's a TV show that you're sort of playing, but it mostly plays itself. And even if it sort of feels that way, I still enjoyed the experience.
Well,
like I can't.
The Raging Joker has to be different, unlike Two-Face,
of course.
where like he still goes crazy because of medication, regardless of whether you scar his face or not.
Yeah,
Joker has to end up in two different places.
That at the very least.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to mention? There's other things we could talk about, but
no, I'm good.
But yeah, but I mean, overall, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, folks. If you played Batman, the Telltale series, Enemy Within, let us know and leave your comments. Tell us what you thought about this. Oh, we should also mention, Malik Meyer sent us this in the mail. He sent me this for my birthday, so that was super nice of him. Thanks so much for doing that.
Is he the one that sent you the first one?
He sent us the first one as well, yeah. Cool. And I would not have probably gotten around to this yet if it weren't for that, so thank you very much for doing that. I know he was excited to hear our thoughts. So. Yeah. Anyway, thanks again for watching, folks. We sure appreciate it. And Eric and I are going to move on with the Omnibus. We're going to do a quick guitar pick for you, so look forward to that. In the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.